All these women are psychotic. If you think because you don't like somebody and you think, I say that they're evil, that you should go be gutting their associates or shredding their associates to pieces so you can gain information from them, or rob banks, or, dive bomb planes into ships, you're crazy. This week, we got an all-new Wonder Woman. I think it's issue number 15 from Tom King and Daniel St. Pierre. And I didn't particularly like the issue, but that's not news. Like, I wasn't even going to cover it here on the channel because, it's Tom King writing Wonder Woman. It's not very good. But there was an article out there from Screenrant that was so outrageous in their description of what actually happens in this comic book. So, I guess I have to cover it. I think it's titled Wonder Woman's All Amazon Justice League is finally here and we're obsessed. That seems like a very Screenrant take to have. And I will read you the description from the writer. I think their name is Taylor. And then I will actually tell you what happens in the comic book and why it's so weird. Nobody in this world gets a bigger pass on bad comic book writing than Tom King. I don't get it. He could write something this absolutely terrible and people were just like, oh, this is amazing. He incorporated 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed into the book. It's, it's next level writing. As the heroes don't act like heroes, they act like villains and are basically on a murder spree. So let's get into this description and start talking about some of these details, because it's just mind-blowing that you get stuff describing a comic book like this, the way that this describes it. DC has been teasing the arrival of Wonder Woman's all-female team through cover art, issue synopses, and in-story development, so it came as no surprise when Wonder Woman 15 spotlighted Cassie Sandsmark, Yara Flor, Donna Troy, and Cheetah as they joined the fight alongside the Amazon Princess in her war against the Sovereign. This demented secret king of the United States is responsible for turning the world against the Amazons, orchestrating Steve Trevor's death, and attempting to break Wonder Woman herself. While the team's lineup was anticipated, their official debut was nothing short of epic, particularly with the reveal of the code names. The only person that turned the world against the Amazons was Emily, whatever the fuck her name is, that Wonder Woman is no longer looking for, that killed all those guys in the beginning, got them all deported, which was really stupid, because Tom King is really into illegal immigration. That's what the entire story was about. Certainly killed Steve Trevor. It was an anticlimactic, lame-ass death for a pretty cool hero. Certainly has tried to break Wonder Woman. Can't really break Wonder Woman. The code names, like I said, it has to do with 5 little monkeys. It's 5 little princesses jumping on the bed. So it's like one little princess bumped her head. That means the job is done. And it's just mind-blowing. When you see stuff of that magnitude, the amount of heart that Tom King puts into something like that to come up with one little princess or 2 little princess or little princess 2 or whatever the stupid code names are, like, you just have to sit back and just be like, wow, the genius involved in this. The dude is the most pretentious, lame-ass comic writer in the entire industry, and people are always acting like he's fucking Alan Moore. I just don't get it. So let's get to the description of what the actual Wonder Girls do. Cheetah and each Wonder Girl are tasked with dismantling key assets of the Sovereign's operation. After completing their missions, they report back to Diana using code speak over their comms. For instance, after Cassie destroys the Sovereign's wealth-hoarding battleship, she checks in saying, hey, this is First Little Princess, and I bumped my head. Similarly, Cheetah and the other Wonder Girls report in, each identifying themselves for their respective princess number and confirming their success. Hence, King seamlessly connects Wonder Woman's maternal role to her leadership of the task force with this nursery rhyme-inspired code. Somebody really wrote that. And I showed you the first page of Cassie Sandsmark. So apparently, the Sovereign has taken a battleship, completely automated it, put it out in the ocean. It says it doesn't even sail under a flag or something like that. It's just like full of money. Cassie Sandsmark shows up. She's commandeered apparently an American fighting aircraft and then just flies it right into the battleship and jumps out of it as it's happening. Would that actually sink a battleship? I really don't think so, but there's no heroism in that. That's not a heroic act. That's pretty cowardly, not to mention the fact that you're polluting the ocean some more. Do we really need to be polluting the ocean more so Wonder Woman can get her revenge? Or I guess Cassie Sandsmark can get Wonder Woman's revenge on her behalf. And to be completely honest, of all the things that the Wonder Girls do in this particular comic book, the thing that Cassie does is probably the most ethical. Whether you think flying planes into buildings or ships and stuff like that are heroic acts, I guess is up to you for interpretation. After that, it gets real bad. Yara Flor, I think she's from Idaho, but everyone acts like she's from Brazil because she's like ethnically Brazilian, but she was raised in Idaho. She is sent out there to go to safety deposit boxes across, I'm assuming the United States, but maybe it's all in one city. And these safety deposit boxes are obviously in banks. And she just goes and robs 17 banks in broad daylight. Now, there's no insinuation that these banks aren't real financial institutions with real people just doing their job working. And she went and robbed 17 of them. Not only that, the security officers, who obviously banks employ security officers to protect the bank from being robbed, tries to stop her. And remember, she's superpowered. She's a metahuman. She's not just normal. And she just beats the shit out of them. Everyday working folks and robs 17 banks in broad daylight. And this is a heroic act because the sovereign had little trinkets in security deposit boxes in these banks. Now, this is Wonder Woman. She's not a stupid woman. These are the Wonder Girls. They're not exactly stupid either. They have access to Batman. They have access to Plastic Man. They have access to a lot of people that could get into a bank and remove artifacts from a safety deposit box or something like that. It would be very easy. Yet she chose to do it in broad daylight and beat the shit out of and disarm regular everyday folks that were just doing their jobs. There's literally nothing heroic about robbing banks, even if you don't like the guy that has some of the artifacts within the vault at the bank. Like, that is an evil act. That is not even the act of an anti-hero. That's the act of a villain. Donna Troy, this one's a little bit weirder. So apparently the Sovereign has placed a diamond inside of Solomon Grundy. Donna Troy goes to find Solomon Grundy. Solomon Grundy is minding his own business, doing his little poetry in the sewer system, as you would expect Solomon Grundy to do. She tracks him down, beats the ever-loving shit out of him, pulls out a buck knife, and then guts him pillar to post to remove the diamond. There's actually no indication that Solomon Grundy works for the Sovereign. In fact, if you're reading other DC books, and this is supposed to be in continuity, he's kind of presented as a good guy, especially in the Poison Ivy series. There's no indication that Solomon Grundy did anything to warrant an attack from Donna Troy. He hadn't committed any crime or anything like that. He was probably duped into having a diamond inside of him. But it's worth more than the entire state of Rhode Island or whatever that stupid line was. And she literally guts him for it. And let's be honest with ourselves. Solomon Grundy is like retard coded. Like, he is somebody that has a lack of mental capacity. He has mental deficiencies and stuff like that. And she's basically going out there, finding retards, living in the sewer where that guy belongs, beating him up and gutting him for it. Not exactly the most heroic move in the entire world. And somehow the Yara Flor and the Donna Troy robbing banks and gutting retards in fucking sewers are more heroic than what Cheetah does. Cheetah catfishes the accountant for the Sovereign because he's moving around too much money using wire transfers. Apparently the accountant has like a hairy woman kink or something like that. Obviously, that the big joke is when he's expecting this girl with hairy armpits, and I'm imagining a very full bush, he shows up and it's actually Cheetah, and she just literally is hairy. And he shows up there, catfished, which I don't think is the right thing to do to people, to get the codes and the way that the wire transfers are working. She literally pulls out her talons and starts shredding the guy, tortures him until he gives up the information. A bloody mess left on the floor by Cheetah, and that's supposed to be heroic. She literally took some pencil neck geek accountant, shredded him to pieces because he worked for somebody that they didn't like. Clearly, the Sovereign isn't a good guy. He's a bad guy. There's no denying that. But there's no heroism when you were talking about superheroes going out there and shredding people to pieces. There's no heroism when you're a superhero going out there and gutting retards. There's no heroism in going out there robbing banks in broad daylight. There's no heroism in flying planes into battleships and sinking them in the ocean and causing an enormous ecological catastrophe like happens in this comic book. Yet if you read the Screenrant article, they're like, oh my goodness, this was the most epic moments of all time. I'm like, wow, there's not a single heroic moment going on in this entire comic book. All these women are fucking psychotic. If you think because you don't like somebody and you think, I say that they're evil, that you should go be gutting their associates or shredding their associates to pieces so you can gain information from them, or rob banks, or fucking dive bomb planes into ships, you're fucking crazy. These are the craziest takes I've ever seen in my life, and this is what we're supposed to be lauding. This is the amazing Tom King Wonder Woman run where there are no fucking heroes left. I don't even know what the story is anymore. I just want the Sovereign to go away because besides all that stuff happening, we still have the over narration going on the entire time. It's the most pretentious shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's fucking hard to read, and it's been going on for 15 issues now. It's absolutely insane. She wraps it up talking about Wonder Woman herself, who basically is a non-entity in the comic book. One of the biggest lingering questions after Wonder Woman 14 was how Diana's newfound motherhood would affect her heroics, and issue 15 begins to provide some answers. For one, Diana steps out of the direct line of fire, assuming more of a general's role as she plans and coordinates attacks on the Sovereign while entrusting her team to execute those plans. Secondly, her role as a mother is subtly shaping her heroics in unique ways. For instance, code names in code speak used by our team are inspired by a nursery rhyme. This creative touch is something Wonder Woman might not have devised if her mom brain weren't fully engaged. As I said, Diana Prince Wonder Woman is basically a non-entity in this comic book. It's her singing, instead of 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed, it's 5 little princesses jumping on the bed. And it's more pretentious garbage from Tom King that smooth brains out there want to pretend is the deepest shit in the history of the world. It's not deep. It's cheap tricks. It's shortcuts. So he doesn't actually have to write a fucking story. And Wonder Woman doesn't do anything. She just sits there and plays with the baby. And then we get like this one splash page at the end that's supposed to make her look like real, like awesome and in charge. She's sitting on a throne with the baby, completely emotionless because she's a fucking psycho now that sent out her fucking kill squad to just go rob banks and gut retards. And I don't think this is a good interpretation of Wonder Woman. And I imagine most Wonder Woman fans are like, this absolutely sucks. But for some reason, Tom King fans will be like, oh no, you don't get it. You don't get it. This is the best version of Wonder Woman we ever had. This is the first time Wonder Woman feels real, man. Because if there was a woman out there that had the power of a fucking god, she would be a vindictive bitch and go out there and have people tortured for information and stuff like that. There's no heroism in any of this stuff. But Tom King just gets a lifetime fucking pass because he wrote Vision, maybe? I don't even get it at this point. Is it because of Mr. Miracle? I don't know if you noticed, but the second half of that story absolutely sucks, just like everything else, for the most part, that Tom King writes. And I read that article. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to discuss it. If you would like more of what I'm providing here, and you like what we're doing right here on Think Critical YouTube, and you would like to support us, I do want to invite you to come visit me on Think Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. Lots more podcasts, lots of unedited stuff there, extra videos that you'll never see on YouTube. Over 40 hours of new stuff happening every single month on Think Critical Patreon. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do that. I hope to see you very, very soon.